Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're getting into the origin story of one of the most important voices of our generation. We're talking about an artist whose journey from the streets of Compton to the world stage is every bit as powerful as his music. So let's get into it, the making of Kendrick Lamar.
And let's just start with Kendrick's own words, because this quote right here, this is the key to his entire mission as an artist. From day one, he wasn't about glamorizing anything. He was about exploring his reality, all of it, the good, the bad, the complicated, and trying to make sense of it all.
And to really get a handle on that reality, we actually have to go back to before he was even born. See, his parents, Kenny and Paula Duckworth, they were trying to escape the gang life on Chicago's South Side. They headed to California, hoping for something better, but they just ended up in a different kind of struggle.
Okay, so this right here, this captures the central conflict of Kendrick's entire childhood. He once described it as chaotic outside, but stable inside. Think about that. Inside his house, his parents made sure there was food on the table, a focus on education, real support. But literally, right outside his front door, at just 5 years old, he saw a man get shot. This incredible contrast, this duality, would become the absolute core of his storytelling.
And then, right in the middle of all that chaos, this moment of pure inspiration happens. He's 8 years old, perched up on his dad's shoulders, and he sees his heroes, Tupac and Dr. Dre, right there in his neighborhood making art. It was like a glimpse into a totally different world, another possible reality.
And you can just see how much it meant to him. He said later that seeing them that day, it just planted a seed. He was way too young to understand it at the time, of course, but that moment, that was really the beginning of his entire journey as an artist.
So, as he gets a little older and starts his school years, that little seed of inspiration starts to grow. But at the exact same time, that chaotic outside world is starting to push in on him, And it forces him to navigate this really dangerous crossroads between his potential and the intense pressures of his environment. The first real sign of the path he'd take popped up in a 7th grade English class. His teacher introduced him to poetry, and bam, he was hooked. He got obsessed with rhymes, with metaphors, with how you could build a story with words. He started filling up notebooks with lyrics back at home.
But when he got to Centennial High School, the challenges were just immense. As one of his former teachers explains here, the students were dealing with so much: poverty, parents in jail, and of course the constant pull of gang life. It was the kind of place that could just swallow you whole if you weren't careful.
And I love this quote from his mom, Paula, because it's so real. It shows that even inside his stable home, this new passion he had was a total shock. She found his notebooks full of lyrics and was just stunned by the profanity. It was the first sign of him trying to process and use the language of that chaotic world outside.
So here's the crucial part. While a lot of his friends were getting pulled into gangs, Kendrick had this powerful anchor: his father. His dad had already lived that life and was absolutely determined to see his son choose a different way. He was the one constantly giving him that reality check.
And that choice he made, it led to years and years of hard work. I mean, this was not an overnight success story, not even close. Let's take a look at the long, grinding journey from just being a teenager making mixtapes to finally getting the attention of his childhood hero. I mean, look at this path. It was full of starts and stops. He starts out as this kid rapper named K.Dot, gets a local deal, which is great, but then he gets this huge setback when a development deal with Def Jam completely falls apart. The real turning point, though, came when he decided to drop the persona and just rap under his own name, Kendrick Lamar. And on that first mixtape as Kendrick Lamar, there was one song that changed absolutely everything. It was called Ignorance is Bliss, and it wasn't a party song. It was this chilling, raw look at the cycle of violence. It was so honest, so real, that it finally made its way to Dr. Dre. So that connection with Dre, his idol, is what set the stage for his major label debut. And this wasn't just any album. This was the one that would take his very specific story about growing up in Compton and turn it into a universal masterpiece that spoke for an entire generation. The album, of course, was Good Kid, M.A.A.d City. And right there on the cover, he tells you exactly how you're supposed to listen to it. He calls it a short film. He wasn't just giving you songs, he was inviting you to come and watch his memories play out. And the story he tells is just incredibly vivid. You're basically following a younger Kendrick through one single life-changing day. The fun parts, joyriding in his mom's van, but then the peer pressure, a terrible mistake, and ultimately a tragedy that forces him to stop and really look at the path he's on and make a choice. And to really get the emotional heart of this album, this insight from UCLA expert George Alip is so key. She explains that what might look like just partying is often really a form of self-medication. It's a way to try and suppress deep, deep trauma. That psychological truth is what makes the album feel so authentic and powerful. So with Good Kid, M.A.A.d. City, Kendrick Lamar becomes a superstar. But his artistic journey? Oh, it was just getting started. What he did next would solidify his legacy, not just as a great rapper, but as one of the most important cultural figures of our time.
I mean, just look at this run of albums. After the incredible storytelling of Good Kid, he completely pivots to the super dense, jazz-infused protest music of To Pimp a Butterfly. And then he follows that up with Damn, an album that was somehow a massive commercial hit and a critical masterpiece. Every single project was a total reinvention. And with Damn, he literally made history. In 2018, Kendrick Lamar became the very first artist who wasn't a classical or jazz musician to win the Pulitzer Prize for music. I mean, think about that. The institution itself recognized his work, cementing hip-hop at the absolute highest level of art in America.
Which really just leaves us with this one last question. Kendrick's journey, from this quiet kid watching the chaos of Compton all the way to a Pulitzer Prize-winning icon, it shows us something really profound, that sometimes, by telling your own specific, honest, and unflinching story, you can end up telling the story of everyone.